Coach, when you have a little more depth and experience on the defensive line, what does that allow you to do, and how important at that position is kind of rotating guys through?
Yeah, hey, Mike, that first of all, the defensive line is a challenging position, right? One of the more challenging positions in all of football. When it comes to having maturation at the position, when you have bodies that are a little bit older, that have experienced force and mass up front and fought in the trenches for a couple of years, you like to think that you can do a few more things defensively. We're excited about the guys that we have. They've worked tremendously to be the best versions of themselves. So we're going to give them everything that we can and see what we can get done.
With video scouting where it is,
Yeah.
the year APR had, people are studying his moves, his tendencies. Does he spend time in the offseason trying to change it up, or is it just getting better at what he does? What's the approach when you have a guy who is going to draw attention like that?
Sure. You know, one thing that we harp on as coaches is that it's imperative that you're strong where you're strong. So if you're a fast guy, be fast all the time. If you're strong, know how to manipulate your body where you can generate force on the football field. And wherever you're weak, always take each and every day, take that opportunity to become better at your weaknesses so that you can limit those. You know, as coaches, we do that. We ask our players to do it. So when it comes to a guy like APR, we certainly know his skill level and his talent and the things that he did a year ago. And certainly this offseason, he's enhanced his strengths and tried to limit some of his weaknesses. Yeah.
Chris, you guys obviously had a Sam Brumfield about 6-7 months ago, got on campus. What have you seen from him in his time on campus, and how has he integrated into that Mike linebacker role, given all the nuances that come with playing that position?
Yeah, Tim, he's really taking it head on, man. You're talking about somebody who's a student of the game, who loves to learn, who has a really high expectation of himself. You talk about a young man who's nearly a 4.0 GPA student, who's hungry to be the best that he can be, has a phenomenal story. So we're really excited about him. You know, you cut on the tape, if I didn't say any of those things about Sam, everybody in this room would agree that he's a pretty good linebacker. But it's about this fall going out and putting it on tape who he can be within our system.
Chris, you guys made a pretty considerable leap in sacks last year. I think you were second in the ACC, pretty high up there nationally.
Yeah.
What do you attribute that to? What was the big reason for the jump from 22 to 23?
Yeah, certainly our guys, a second year in the system, that attributes to better comprehension on what we're trying to get done in terms of, you know, being aggressive, playing on edges, and knowing how to cage the rabbit, so to speak, when you're talking about the quarterback. I think about 2 years ago, we got to the quarterback a fair amount, struggled to finish. Last year, we got to the quarterback a fair amount. We finished a few more plays, but there's still meat on the bone. So there's still more to go out there and go get. We like our guys. We like the packages that we have in place, but there's still a lot more opportunities to go and get after the quarterback.
With the new NCAA rule allowing, you know, guys who were former analysts, they can now have actual coaching responsibilities. Yeah. What's it like having guys like Xavier and Gavea Winslow, you know, now having an opportunity to coach your guys up, more resources for your players?
Yeah, man. First of all, Coach Adib and Coach Gavea are phenomenal football minds. And you talk about two men who played at this program, two men who were lunch pail carriers. We take a lot of pride in our defensive, what we do on defense. They were taught firsthand by Coach Bud Foster, who we all know in this room is a phenomenal football mind. So we're very, very fortunate to have them on our staff. Very fortunate.
Coach, we go to the back of the room from Eric. I'm sorry, let's get David. Sorry, let's go David and then Eric.
Chris, coaches often talk about athletes making a big step from year one to year two. As you go to your second year calling the defense, how much more comfortable are you in that role?
Yeah, so this has been a position, that's a great question. This has been a position that I've always prepared for, something that I've always wanted to do. So, you know, there weren't a ton of surprises in terms of preparing for what we saw in year one and year two. And in year three, what I'm very proud of and what I'm super thankful for is that we have continuity within our staff. You know, every position coach is back. Nearly every support staff role on our defense is back. From a graduate assistant to an analyst role, everybody is back. And so when you talk about a commonality of language, like the nomenclature between the staff, what we're expecting on a particular play, that leads to efficiency of time when you're meeting. When you're watching film, when you're installing a defense, when you're drilling a certain thing, there's consistency, there's time efficiency, and you can get more accomplished, man. So I'm just thankful that we have a really good staff and we have continuity for the kids.
Back it over to Eric.
Coach, similar to the defensive line, Coach Pryor talked about the depth you have at linebacker as well. What's the added benefit of keeping a nice, healthy rotation there as well as up front?
Yeah, we got guys who can run, we got guys who can hit, and guys who have seen a tremendous amount of football at this point. You know, we got here a couple of years ago. You're looking at a room of primarily redshirt freshmen and Dax Hollyfield. And so there are guys going to have to take their lumps early. You get better at playing football by playing football. You know, whatever you got to go through, and particularly there because football happens really quickly when you're involved in that box. So, man, we're excited about them. I mean, they've trained at a really, really high level. They've challenged one another. They've held each other accountable. We've challenged them as a staff in order and asked them to take steps to demonstrate vocal leadership, not just physical leadership in terms of doing what they're asked to do, but doing that at a high level, speaking up and holding teammates accountable at the position and at other positions, and really challenging themselves to be the best version of who they can be. Because it's not always going to be what you expected it to be. So you have to respond in a way that allows you to be the best you can be at any point in time. So I'm excited about them. As you can tell, man, I got a lot of passion for those guys, the position that I played, so we take a lot of pride in it. And so, man, I'm excited to see what we can do this fall.
Chris, you look at the safety room, and last year you essentially had two true freshmen in the two deep, Mose being a true freshman, Jalen Jones being a true freshman to the position. How much have those two grown entering their second year in the system, and how much can they complement Jalen Stroman in that back end?
Sure. You know, I think when I think about Jalen Jones, when I think about Mose Phillips specifically, I think if you watch them game one of the season and you watch them in the bowl game versus Tulane, I think you see two different football players. The patience that they play with, the aggression that they play with, understanding leverage, understanding what we're trying to get done on the defensive side, the level of communication pre-snap and post. They look like different football players, and that took time. That's because of Coach Pilo's coaching, and his intensity and intent with those young men, but also their passion for the game of football, and being willing to learn and being willing and eager students. So when you look at spring ball, you watch both of them grow as well, and I think this fall you're going to see young men who are better.
Let's go to Zoom for a couple. On Zoom, again, please introduce your name and outlet for Coach Marve, and we'll start with Sam, please.
Sam Jesse, Sons of Saturday. Coach Marve, when it comes to starting your preparations for week one, obviously the focus is on the team right now, but it's kind of similar to last year. There are some unknowns about the offense and the quarterback you're going to face. How do you approach that preparation when there is some uncertainty about what the opponent is going to be running on offense?
Yeah, sure. I think the first thing you do is look at the coaching staff, right, and get an idea of what their personality is, their background, where they've come from, things that they did that have led them to success, and things that they may have done that they're interested in, but that are more wrinkles as opposed to what they major in. I also think that you take a look at the personnel. You watch as much tape as you can, and once you get an idea of what the personnel will be, you just dig and dig and dig and dig until you feel like you have a really good idea of what you're going to face. What I can tell you is that game one, every single year in football, it's always something a little bit different because everybody's had a ton of time to prepare and to formulate or fix whatever they thought didn't work a year ago, or change and make adaptations to grow and to be better for this year. So there are going to be some things that I'm sure there'll be new things that they hadn't shown on tape. There'll be some things that they show on tape that they've been really good at in the past. So it's our job to make sure we prepare our team and our unit to face whatever we're faced with.
Any final questions on Zoom? Okay, Travis. All right, let's finish with a quick one from Andy here in the room.
Everybody we've talked to on the team seems to think that Aeneas Peebles has really fit in well with the room since he transferred in here. Do you feel that way too? And if so, why does everybody seem to be in such agreement about that? What has he done since he's gotten here that's fit so well?
Yeah, humble spirit, and he's a worker. Two things that I would say about him. Humble spirit, he's a worker. Anytime you're new to an environment, people are going to observe you and kind of get a feel for who you are and what you're about. Again, since he's walked in the door, he's had a humble spirit, and all he's done is work. And so he takes a lot of pride in who he is and what he can represent. He takes a lot of pride in being part of that D-line room and playing for Coach Price. He comes from a phenomenal family, and he wants to be the best version of himself. So you'll find that is a common thread, right? We talk about these young men training and working and developing to be the best versions of who they can be, and he's a walking example of that. Okay, thank you all. Go Hokies.